Pork adobo is a Filipino classic. Slow cooked to perfection in a rich umami sauce loaded with garlic, peppercorns, and bay leaves. Served over rice, of course. But I've got a few insider cooking techniques to make this even better. But first things first, you gotta pick the right cut of pork. Sound good? Let's cook. The absolute best and most classic cut to use in pork adobo is pork belly, and I've got 3 pounds of it. All that inter and intramuscular fat is going to make this dish ridiculous. However, you could use a pork loin, especially if it's at the end closer to the shoulder, or just a pork shoulder in general would be a great substitute. Now for this belly, I'm going to cut it into roughly 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. So by the time they sear and cook down, they'll be a lot easier to eat. And in Filipino tradition, do not trim a gram of fat away from this belly. All is good to use. Just add everything to a bowl and it's almost ready for searing, but first I like to season it with about 2 teaspoons of coarse salt right before searing it. So I usually just sprinkle it on while working it into the pork on all sides. Doing this won't draw out any moisture and it'll allow us to season the pork and help to brown the outside, which is what I want. Now I did talk to my good friend Sam, who is Filipino, and he told me he loves to marinate the pork if he has time. So in case you've got an extra 4 and up to 24 hours, here's what you do. Smash 5 garlic cloves and add it to the bowl with the cut pork along with 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, then a half cup of Filipino soy sauce, also known as toyo. You can pick this up from an Asian market or just order it online. The closest you'll get to this is a dark soy sauce. However, regular soy sauce or tamari will work just fine as well. Make it easy and use what you've got. Next up, I'm adding in a half cup of Filipino vinegar, better known as suka. And again, you can snag this from an Asian market or feel free to substitute with regular distilled vinegar or even apple cider vinegar, which would be pretty tasty considering how well apples go with pork. Okay, at this stage, use your hands and work all that goodness in there to completely coat it on all sides. And if you do this marinade, nothing at all will change throughout the cooking process, all will remain the same. Make sure it's submerged as best you can, covered up, and it's going in the fridge for 4 to 24 hours. So whatever method you chose, salting or marinating, bring it over to the cooktop, and I've got a large wok, which I'm going to add just about 2 tablespoons of cooking oil to. Just want to coat the bottom here. Turn the heat up to medium and let it heat for about 60 to 90 seconds. And at this point, add in the pork and spread it out as best you can. I usually like to push it up the sides to ensure I have a single layer. Doing this will cover more surface area and allow each piece to brown up nicely. And yes, do this in batches to get the best searing and flavor. I promise you've got this. Let this stand for a good 2.5 to 3 minutes and then let's have a little look, and yeah, Maillard, my friends, and that equals flavor. Okay, give it a stir fry for 1 or so minutes to start getting that same Maillard on as many sides of the pork as possible. To me, this is a really easy procedure to making this dish better. So often it's a quick 30-second sear and then done. But I say taking the time to do this is the first technique to taking this dish from good to great. We're getting one step closer to finishing the sear up, but first this is when I like to give the pork belly a generous season of ground pepper, about 1 full teaspoon. This is an important ingredient to help balance the flavors, and believe it or not, the flavor will diminish throughout the process, so again, be generous here. Continue cooking until they're browned up and the fat is rendered. Honestly, this is just like cooking bacon. Is bacon better crispy, or is it better soft and limp? Of course, crispy is significantly more delicious. Once you're satisfied, strain off, leaving all the fat in the pan, and set the pork to the side. And simply repeat the same process with the next batch of searing, stir-frying, peppering, and browning up. And in the meantime, I'm going to knock out a little prep, beginning with slicing off the ends, slicing in half, peeling, and julienning 1 yellow onion. You'll get about 1 cup sliced when you're through. Then, next up, smash and finely mince 10 garlic cloves. So it's come to my attention that in the comments of some of the dishes that I made, like beef steak or pancit, that Filipinos may actually like garlic even more than the Italians. So when you're making this, you can absolutely feel free to add a few more cloves to the mix. Okay, back over to the wok to see how our pork is doing, and yep, looking dang good, and it's almost time for braising. But first, let's set the browned up pork belly to the side with the other cooked pork, and then this is a good amount of rendered fat left over. And for my American friends, feel free to drain off about 2/3 of it, but if I do, that my Filipino friends will be after me, so I'm gonna leave it in there. Add in the onions, spread them out, gently season with salt to help draw out some moisture to help brown them a little bit better, and then saute these for 5 minutes. During this process, the moisture that is released will actually help to glaze the wok a bit and remove all that tasty pork fond that was left on it. Then let's turn the heat to low and let it cook for 6 to 8 minutes to further caramelize. Again, another easy step that requires a few extra minutes to really help build the flavor of the dish to make it seriously superb. You can absolutely do this. I believe in you. Now while all that's going down, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of peppercorns and 3 small pucks of palm sugar, which equals about 3 tablespoons, and I'm going to grind it down using a pestle. And look, getting access to palm sugar may not be feasible. It's totally okay because you can equally substitute with brown sugar or even just regular granulated sugar. So during this process, it's okay if some of the peppercorns don't fully break down. Set it to the side and let's go check out our onions, and yes, this is what you want.
Delicious. Incredible.
Exactly, Gordon. Thank you. At this stage, stir in the garlic and cook it just until fragrant, which really only takes about 30 to 45 seconds. Now grab that pork and all its fat and add it right to the pan. Then let's quickly boost that heat back up to medium, give everything a quick stir, and then add in the palm sugar and pepper to sort of caramelize the sugar a bit, but only for about a minute. Build that flavor, my friends. And gosh, does this look and smell fantastic. Next, let's pour in a half cup of the Filipino soy sauce, followed with the same amount, a half cup of the Filipino vinegar, and for a little insider ingredient, add in about 2 teaspoons of fish sauce. And every time I use this, I force myself to smell. And while it does smell crazy, it's a level up ingredient for sure. Okay, let's cook everything for about 2 to 3 minutes and focus in on concentrating just these flavors. Now, I recently made pancit and lumpia, and one of the same comments I kept getting was, where's the MSG or bouillon? To me, this is optional, but for all those comments, here you go. A half teaspoon should do. We are super close to starting this braise, but first I'm going to swap this traditional water or Sprite with 1 cup of chicken stock. I promise you, this will make the pork adobo so much richer in flavor, you'll want to drink the sauce that's left over. Seriously. Okay, last but not least, I'm adding and mixing in 4 bay leaves, and then I'm going to give it a little taste, and my goodness, it's already dang tasty. Let's bring all this goodness to a boil, and then I'm popping on a lid and turning the heat down to low-medium, low-ish, to cook for 30 to 35 minutes. But don't go far, because after that amount of time, I'm coming back to remove the lid to further concentrate the sauce for another good 30 to 35 minutes. And during this time is when you want to prepare and cook your rice, which is super traditional to serve up with pork adobo. You can use my favorite method of toasting first, then adding water, covering and cooking, but my Filipino friends pounded on me and told me to just get a rice cooker. Okay, fine, I did it. Happy now? I digress. Now for my American friends wondering what could you serve this up with, classically, nothing. One thing I've learned about Filipino cuisine is there aren't really such things as side dishes. There's only main dishes. So whatever's in front of you, that's the main dish. But if you're looking for some veg or something you want to mix this up with, definitely check out my bok choy with garlic sauce or even my stir-fried sugar snaps going with a sesame garlic sauce. Both are awesome, and you can get them both on my website at billyparisi.com. However, we're almost finished up. Let's go have a look. The smells in here alone will make you want to travel to the Philippines. Seriously, it's that good. And would you just look at that?
From behind,
Look at that.
you can't do.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Well, maybe not that much, but at least let's plate this up and start eating it. All that delicious pork adobo onto a plate, and I'm going to add on a non-traditional garnish of sliced green onions because, well, it needs a punch of green to me. And okay, it's time to get in this. Now, if you're craving some more of those Filipino flavors, check out my lumpia recipe video. It is a must try. I'll catch you there. Oh my gosh. It is like a flavor over.
Whoa, Lord. That is so good.